Hello, everyone, and welcome to ForcedToPod. My name is Saxon, but you can call me Sax. Joining me tonight, I have the man who knows no stranger nor pepper too spicy. Nick, how are you this evening?
Sleepy.
So a little
Yeah,
got the
that's
EPs there, Nick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is a deadly combination because I'll probably fall asleep later at the normal time, and about half an hour later, I'll get a call from work, and I'll wake up wondering what time it is, and then realize I've only been asleep for 25 minutes, and it'd be mad.
What are the
That is the worst.
What are the bounds on that on call? Like what are we looking at here?
Well, I'm supposed to only get called if like everything's broken, nothing's working for anybody.
Mm.
I've almost never been called for issues like that. It's always something else, which is stupid. There's one customer, I won't say who, has a process that doesn't work properly sometimes. And it's not a Sev 1 issue. And like 50% of the time they report it not working properly, it's on their end. And I still get called at 11 or 2 or whatever. So that's fun. Yeah, good.
But are you on the line for it like any time? Like any time of day? Okay.
Well, since we have people that work on my team in the UK and guys that are on the West Coast, it's like 8 p.m. to 3 or 4 a.m. whatever time they sign in the UK area. But yeah, all the hours in between, if anything happens, I'll get called.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully just get some good rest. Nothing, no calls come through. But if Nick disappears from the podcast for a few, something is burning down somewhere. So T's and P's.
Or somebody can't figure out how to plug in their goddamn mouse. Like the same shit, right?
Either way, it's banks and financial institutions. So take that information
Nick
as you
will be the one bailing them out. And alphabetically last, but first in our hearts, the man who would always rather be outside. He's about to be outside for about a whole week. But he'd rather be there than wherever he's at right now. Walker, how you doing, man?
Fucking jazzed, bro.
Let's go.
I'm having a good evening.
Good.
I don't know. Something about today. I got the energy today. I got a lot of. I did my science right and had a lovely dinner. So I'm raring to go. Probably for another hour and a half. Then I'm gonna be real fucking sleepy.
Let's go. Well, boys, I got some stats for you. If you did not know, this is episode 20 of the podcast, the big 2-0. And boys, that is a big milestone. However, next episode is an even bigger milestone. So a study I found that was done 2 years ago.
A study
that I found from 2 years ago says that out of 2 million podcasts that were started, yeah, we're so unique. 2 million podcasts, 90% of them stop on or before episode 3. Out of the remaining 200,000 podcasts that continue. So that's still a lot.
Yeah.
Another 90% of them will stop before or on episode 21. So all we got to do, boys, to be in the top 1%.
2 more weeks.
Is record 2 podcasts. And then we can just call it if we want to. We could just call it and be like, we're 1%ers. But we're not going to. Don't worry. But I'm just saying we could. And so if you want us to keep going, please like, subscribe, follow on all social media platforms. We're getting a little better with the transitions. It helps all the algorithms. We say it every week. It just helps. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. If you'd like to, you can join the conversation, bit.ly/ForcedToPod Discord. And just be a part of the conversation. So we're going to talk about 2 wildly different things tonight, but I don't want to cut you off, Walker. What's going on?
No, I was just going to say, you hear this shit from fucking everybody. Like and subscribe, but you know what? It fucking works.
It does.
That shit works. So, do it.
It does. I was telling you guys before, but I'll say it again so it's on the recording. So not only are we doing this podcast, but been doing some stuff Destiny-related, gaming-related, trying to expand and do more. I was like, all right, 2025, we'll just full send it. I'm just going to give it a shot. If it works, it works. If not, it doesn't. And so on TikTok, just sharing some things. There's a couple Destiny-related things that we've had going on our website. Created this really cool tool. A lot of people have liked it just in the worldwide Destiny community. So putting our stuff out there. We have a small niche group of people that we play games with, and usually we just kind of keep it in our own ecosystem or whatever. And so I've been sharing it out. And then one of the posts on Reddit, it got like 40,000 plus views on it, which was crazy number. And then from those views, the traffic to our website was something stupid. Like the page views, like day over day, like from the day before. And the day before was a really good day, just, for the website. Had like 156,550% increase. Like it was just a stupid number. Like it was
Nice.
I couldn't even calculate it. That's why it did it for me. So it was just kind of cool to do that. But one thing was I kind of posted this screen recording of how to use the tool we had created, put it out there, hashtag Destiny2. Didn't really think much of it. It's like a 23-second video. Probably took me 5 minutes to do it. And right now I'm watching it. It's close to 10,000 views, like 400 likes on it. It's just like going crazy. And so I know that's not like in the grand scheme of things going viral, that's not crazy. But like for context, I think my closest next video was like 500 views, something of that sort. And so I've been taking the classic Twitter, Instagram vibe of just following like everyone who's like, because in TikTok shows you like when people look at your profile, they tell you when people like stuff on your page, obviously when they bookmark it. I've just been hammering that follow button. They have a thing where you can see everyone who liked it, and then just there's all these like pink follow buttons on the right hand side. I've just been hammering them so much that it locked me out of doing that because it thinks I'm a bot doing it. So now I have to click into their profile, then I can hit follow. It's like one extra step I got to do that. But
there's like 2 spots on Sax's phone screen that are worn out now from just following.
Those 2 sides, the left side for clicking into the profile, the right side for hitting the follow, and then there's a little spot down at the bottom from where I throw Pokeballs in Pokemon Go. And so the 3, it's like a Triforce on my.
You're spinning them?
Oh, yeah. Okay, curveballs every time. So
Man, I forgot about that.
So anyways, we have 2 wildly different topics that have nothing to do with anything I just talked about.
Sort of. They're both shitty.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. So boys, I'm a coin toss. Walker, Nick, which one of you guys wants to go first?
I think Nick should go first.
All right, Nick's
lead it off
first.
right, Nick.
I don't remember which one of the 2 I was tasked with.
You don't remember.
They're both on my list that I have. I have a list that I write of things. So they're both on there.
I love it. So we're going to talk about, you had some gripes with the U.S. tax system. Now hang on with me. When I told Heather about this as well, if you're listening, you're like, oh, I don't want to sit through this. We're going to keep it light.
Neither do
we're
we.
going to discuss it. But Nick, you wanted to share some feelings. We're all putting our tax returns in, trying to figure this stuff out. So what was on your mind, friend?
Yeah, it's pretty. I feel like it's a pretty universal gripe with the doing taxes at the end of the year. But my question I pose to you, the IRS, bunch of dicks, why do I have to do all of this stuff when you know the answer? You know what I mean? Like, why are you asking me to figure out how much money I owe or am owed when you know the right answer? And then if I do it wrong, I go to jail. Why are the stakes so high? Why can't you just send me a check or a bill at the end of the year and say, hey, this is what happened, and then I get the option to audit you? That's how it should be. I should be able to audit the government because I didn't get enough money at the end of the year, but no, I have to worry about losing my house because I forgot to carry a 1.
So do you want me to commiserate or tell you sad things?
It doesn't matter. It's not going to make it any better.
I think it's kind of funny, though, because, like, you just want to reverse, but if they were the ones to reach out to you first, then you're totally fine with proving that you're owed or...
No, it's a loss either way. I just want to yell. Basically, it comes down to I just want to yell about it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's
getting
fair.
audited is a whole fucking thing, too. Like, you pretty much have to hire somebody. I mean, you don't have to, but there's a reason it's like a selling point on TurboTax or whatever that they'll represent you.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the answer to your gripe, Nick, is that like the government doesn't actually know because the way we have it built is bad. I mean, it'd be also, you know, all the when you take deductions, right? They don't know the deductions. They know what you would owe if you were doing the straight like
standard,
Joe Schmo, I make X amount of money that's reported on my W-2, and then by that reason I'm in this tax bracket, and then, you know, I owe this much money. But then we have this whole fucking deduction thing, which is what they don't know. Can they, you know, and that's why the whole audit is a thing, right? Because you get, you know, did you actually buy a palace in, you know, Northern Michigan and deserve to have $13 million off your tax returns because there was a, limited edition trout on that property.
Yeah, well,
Forgot
you
the
know
word
what?
for
Even if I
endangered.
did, it's none of your fucking business. Leave me alone. Yeah, I taxing the
Well,
money I make. You taxing the shit I buy with the money I make that I already taxed, and I gotta pay. I hate it.
well, that's only for us normies. That's only for the
Well, yeah, right.
regular folks.
Well, how am I supposed to get rich enough to be outside of these tax constraints with all these
Yeah.
goddamn taxes?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I think the IRS loses out on something like $500 billion a year in unpaid taxes.
Huh.
Something along that scale. Just that people don't.
Well, we should just shut it down then. Doesn't sound like it's worth it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We don't need revenue.
So I heard so one thing that was really interesting that I heard, I went on like a financial bender of sorts for about 4 years straight. I'm still very obsessed with like
Financial
everything
bender.
honestly with everything like personal finance, deep things of that sort. But it was the like crippling fear that hit me at one point where I realized that like, hey, my wife's about to graduate from residency and be an orthodontist, and I don't want to be the reason because I mean, I was good with managing my salary coming in, right? But like it for the first 6 years of us being married, it's basically everything that comes in other than like 401k savings or anything that was coming out before our check. But it's like, it's like we're just like breaking even. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't want that to look like that. And so anyways, I say all that to say I have gone down these rabbit holes like a ton as far as trying to figure out. And one of the resources that I was listening to kind of like lists the whole tax thing out in a pretty eloquent way, probably way better than I will right now. It said that if you want to know how to win with the tax system, you do the things that are like the classic American dream type things. Like you own a house, you have kids, you start a business, like these types of, you invest in the economy in different ways and things like that, because you get deductions on that. You get to deduct your mortgage interests. You go to college, even though college is wildly expensive and completely overinflated, and student loans are it's a terrible system that you can just allow 18-year-olds to take $60,000 a year out to not know what they want to do. Like they don't have to prove that they know what they want to do to take that money out. It's like, oh, you'll find yourself.
And by the way, you can't declare bankruptcy and
exactly
get rid of that.
Exactly.
Just in case we're curious.
Even if you go private with it, even if you refinance those loans into a private thing, you can't do that.
Predatory lending, no way.
Yeah.
Couldn't
and so
be
you
us.
take all of that, into consideration, and you say like, these are the things that allow you to. Now, obviously there's a whole nother level to it where you have people who they've invested so much money that they're not using their own money. Like they are not receiving a paycheck, right? Like these millionaires, billionaires, whatever, they're just taking dividends off, and then they're paying capital gains tax, which is lower than what they would if they were getting a salary, right? So then, you look at the amount of tax that they're doing, and they're doing all the deduction work and stuff. But the truth of the matter is the vast majority of it is legal, like the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah,
let's not talk about the morality of it all. And so it's just the things that are legal. The one thing that I do think, I think is kind of key, and like while we're talking about it, is like what you said, Walker, is like they don't know. Like they don't know what what you actually, what deductions you're owed or things you can claim and things like that. So be careful out there. Be careful out there, but definitely get what you're owed and try to get that. Your W-4s when you do them, like visit them often. Like if something changes in your life, you have another kid, or something wild happens, and so some people have to have a tax return come in because they're not going to be able to save money any other way. Like that's just where they're at. Like they're like, I wouldn't have saved that $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So getting it. And then there's a lot of studies out there that talk about how people actually they typically do use that money for a good purpose, paying off debt, putting some into savings. There's a large majority of people who do use a portion of that for good things, but then you do have some people that get $1,000 and they just blow it on something immediately.
Yeah, podcast equipment, or Lego, or whatever.
Yeah,
who would do
antique
that?
firearm example. I couldn't for random. The temptation to just spend a windfall like that is so strong. But like, vast majority of people who get a group $1,000 are going to put it right back into the economy.
Yeah,
like in meaningful ways.
It's kind of like the stimmy checks that we got during COVID.
That was interesting. I forgot about that actually. We all got cut a check for like $1,000. That was crazy.
Yeah, just randomly hit. I'm like, how'd they even know where to put it? It's like they have the information. Like you were saying, Nick, It's like you're acting like you don't know. Like you know way more than you do. They knew how to get it to us. And the fact that like as soon as people heard like, hey, they're going to be sending money to us, the amount of traffic, I'm sure that IRS website or whatever, the Department of Revenue, whatever that was like, Texas. I need to make sure they know how to get me my money.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the other side of things, and
yeah.
The real thing with that was not the stimulation checks. It was the PPP loans that never got paid back or whatever.
I can't start. We can't. I don't have time. I have time to yell about all the people I want to yell about.
I just wish people would be nice to one another and do things that were ethical and not take money out of people's pockets who needed it more. That's all I want. I just want people to have what they need. That's all I want.
Nick, I've been talking a lot. You got thoughts? Hey, we got time. We only got two subjects.
We got time.
The second one's pretty lighthearted, so I say this is probably going to be the one episode that we're getting into for the tax system. So.
This might be the episode that shuts it all down. We don't make it to 21.
We got to get to 21, bro.
Yeah, they don't want you to know.
Let's talk about things lightly. Like we'll go around the border here. So that might not be the best way to say that, but so here's one thing I will say. So when you're thinking about it and you're talking about paying into the tax system, right? Like you're paying your taxes. Look at your paycheck. Look, like actually, like if you're looking at your pay stub, what are coming out of there? Like you're paying into Medicare or Medicaid. I can't never remember which one's which. Medicaid, Medicare, whatever it is. You're paying into Social Security.
Care is old people. Aid is people who don't have enough money.
Perfect. So I wish I would remember that.
They're both.
Yes.
Mixing there's 4 different versions of Medicare or whatever. But the idea of a lot of the people who are going to benefit mostly from those programs, right? Like the government assistance, SNAP, and these different things that come out of it. Oftentimes they're the ones who are the most critical, that do not, are the most vocal about paying back into those systems. And so you get very affluent areas, and I know that those are historically blue areas, but you're talking about like the New Yorks, the Californias, the large cities, the Chicagos, the places that people kind of culminate in there. Even if you take the percentage that people, these high dollar earners or, net worth individuals are paying for taxes, like their percentage may be low, but they are still paying more than the average person, right? Like out of what they're doing, they're paying into the system. And then that stuff's being funneled elsewhere. The problem that I have primarily when it comes to things like a Social Security, things of that sort, is some part of our tax systems, like we get it right and some parts we don't. Like, for instance, the income tax is a progressive system, right? They had someone cooked with this system. And I say that in a positive way, meaning that when you're at the lower end of the spectrum, when I first started working and I had a very, very low income, I was, what is it? It's like, I think our lowest it's either 10 or 12%, whatever.
Yeah, something like that. And it kicks in at, I don't remember anymore, 20 some odd to 30 some odd thousand.
I should look up the step up. But essentially how it works is, you pay, let's say it's 10%. That's what's coming to mind. It's either 10 or 12%, I believe. So you're paying 10% of that money. And then as soon as you break past that, my misunderstanding for so long was that those next, like if I go into the next step up, whatever the tax bracket that puts me in the 12%, that all that money before was going to be 12%. And that's not how it works.
People don't understand marginal tax brackets.
They don't.
They really don't.
And so the reason I say this, though, is that if that's how it worked, if it worked how I believed it, let's say, I need to find this, marginal tax rates 2025. I'm sure this is
no. If it worked how you're saying it, or how you implied you had thought,
Yep.
it would be, you'd be better off making less money.
Exactly.
Somewhere around that switchover point.
So for 2025, the marginal tax rates, so the brackets there, you can make, if you make up to $11,925 or less. So I guess I said the same thing, or $23,850 for married couples. You 10% of that. So you would owe $1,200 of taxes, essentially. So then you put deductions in there. If you have any kids, whatever, you're automatically getting a refund. You know, like you are getting money back, and you're paying $0 of taxes. Like everything's going to be coming back to you. And then if you pay over that, or if you go over that, then you pay 12%. But you're not paying 12% on everything. You're only paying 12% of the
money
dollars that are above
over
that.
12,000, yeah, whatever.
Exactly. And then 22, there's a huge gap there from the, let's say 12,000. That's basically what it is, to 48,500 is essentially what it is. That's a huge gap of people who are only paying 12%. Now, when you're on a lower income, I understand that could be more of your money. However, those deductions are going to cancel that out. And so the reason I say someone cooked with that is the idea of what you were explaining, Walker, is like you would be incentivized to stay in a lower bracket, like to push yourself down in some cases, right? Like I don't think in that 10 to 12 mark, but like when you start getting close to that 48, 475, that's what it is.
What's the next 90, marginal bracket after 12?
22.
Yeah, big jump.
Right?
Big jump.
So then you go 22 to 24, and then up to 32, and then finally to 35, which is what you're doing there. And then 37% for anyone who's making more than $626,000 a year.
Yeah, that's terrible. I hate it.
I mean, yeah. Low. And so it's one of those things. So I say they cook there. Now, to finish my point is that's not how it is with a lot of the systems that we have, though. So Social Security, the people who are making more, they don't pay. I mean, you have more income that can be put into Social Security, but there is a cap of how much money that you will have to pay in to Social Security every year. So they should get rid of that. So let's see, what is the cap on Social Security tax? I've already searched this. It's just auto-filled.
You think people should be paying? There shouldn't be a cap on how much you put into Social Security, or
there should not. So every paycheck you pay 6.2% up to where your earnings would hit $176,000, essentially. So if you hit that mark, let's say you're going to hit that mark by August of the year. The rest of the year you just get that 6.2%. I don't know why. We don't have any other taxes that work that way. Why would you cap that one to do that when that's a government assistance program that's helping people? You know what I mean? Like that's directly going back to helping people.
Maybe it's related
to money
like
from the taxpayer and give it to the other people. That's socialism, Saxon. We can't have that.
Social security.
Maybe it's because it's an entitlement. Maybe it has to do with, I mean, I'm just wildly speculating here. Sure. I'm not an expert. Maybe it has to do with the fact that like you have to get capped on your Roth contributions or whatever every year, your IRA or whatever the hell. Like maybe it has to do with not, how much you get back. I don't know. I have not thought about Social Security at all. I'm not planning on getting it based on how things are going, and I'm so far away from retirement.
Yeah. So
I don't know about it.
I realistically believe that Social Security will still be around in some capacity when we go to retire, because it is too favorable of a program for any politician, unless they want to commit political suicide, to bring up the fact that there needs to be a huge change to it. That they need to adjust the amount or the age at which. The fact that the age was 65, but when it first was enacted, people were only living like 3 or 5 years more than that on average. Yeah. And now we're living to 95.
Like 20 minimum on average, something like that.
And so there needs to be some huge changes to it. And so there's only, you can either you can only stimulate like the inflow of money, which would be eliminating that cap and just keeping it like every other tax we pay. we don't cap out sales tax. We don't cap out, these various things. You
Anything
say
else, yeah.
and do that. And so I've talked about Social Security a ton, but it's been on my mind a lot. The one last thing I'll say that I have seen that I think is a problem that I don't have an answer for. I don't really have an answer for any of these other than Social Security a little bit. But the idea of government, like government assisted, like with insurance and things of that sort, for when we were talking about like lower income families, like people who can't afford it, because the amount of people who are on like SNAP benefits, things of that sort, that actively are like, I want to earn more money, but I can't go immediately earn enough more money to then be able to bridge the gap and make it make sense, essentially. And so they stay in jobs, stay stagnant, and they don't. Yeah. And so I feel like that is something that would benefit greatly from the progressive system that we have in other areas, and say like, hey, we're essentially going to wean you off of this. Like if you've been on this government assistance, honestly, probably any government assistance program, a weaning off of that and saying, hey, over 12 months, or like if you are in this job for X amount of time, like this is going to go, maybe there's some sort of benefit that could be paid to the business owner or something of that sort to help get those people out of those situations. I don't know, but that is one area that I've seen. I know people who have not necessarily turned down jobs, but they've been like, I don't know that I really want to look for a better job or something different because of this. So sorry, that was my soapbox. Nick had no idea he was opening that Pandora's box, but it's something very nerdy that
we're going to get
really
a cease and desist from Dave Ramsey if we don't cut it out soon.
Man, there's so many freaking financial shows. I mean, just put your money in a broad spectrum stock market thing and try not to spend too much. End of list. There you go.
Want.
That's your financial advice.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's your financial advice. No, I just looked up the Social Security cap thing, and basically it was, not to toot my own horn, but I was right. It's like, so well, okay, not really, but you can only put so much in your Roth IRA because it's so beneficial to be able to put that money in. And right now, the cap basically more closely ties how much you'll eventually get out with how much you put in so much as if you put a whole bunch more in, you're making $1 million a year, you're taxed straight 6.5% on that. You only get an out, whatever, which to the multi-millionaire, billionaire, whoever, is a pittance. They don't give a shit about the Social Security check for $1,000 a month. So, it ties that amount of money to that you're receiving eventually, approximately to some extent how much you put in.
Yeah. And I do understand that to some extent. I guess what I'm suggesting is don't do it that way. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting
flip it on
to have.
hand.
Yeah.
We have people who are working 35, 40 years, right? And pensions used to be the answer, right? Like this was something that was in addition to pensions that were offered at jobs, and then at businesses and places of work, or if you struck gold with like a postal job back in the day, or you were on the railroad or things like. Obviously, these are very intensive jobs on your body. But I had a buddy who worked on the railroad, and the system that they have for their retirement and pension and stuff like that is, in many ways, is like a model that I wish a lot of industries would take. I don't remember all the details off the top of my head, but I remember hearing about, the stuff he had and the amount of people who would stay working on the railroad, as the song says. And just
all the live long day.
Yeah, just, they would do that because the future retirement and the benefits were so good. And so we don't have that now, right? Like you don't know what you're getting into. Realistically, you'll go through 4 rounds of interviews just to get a piece of paper slipped to you that has subpar benefits on it, and they might pay you a good salary, but they're, all this other stuff. And so companies have moved away from offering, some sort of pension plan where like, hey, we will, if you stay here and you work here and you're a good employee and you work hard and our business succeeds, you will succeed, and here your retirement will be set. It's like, no, you got it. Like you take care of it. Yeah, we'll give you a little percentage on this, but if you choose to do it, great. If not, then you're kind of up a creek. So
we should make sure old people don't have to die in horrible poverty. Another wild take. Another real spicy one tonight.
Or I just hold back.
I'd like for my
real
grandmother
hot
to be able to
nonsense.
be comfortable and live the rest of her days happily doing her grandma shit.
Crocheting and making tea.
She gardens, actually.
Hell yeah. She garden her own tea.
I don't think she does. Mostly tomatoes. She's real good at tomatoes. For what it's worth.
Real good at tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually might meet my grandma. She's a riot, actually. She's about 5 foot nothing and loves to down her Crown Royal.
There you go.
Ooh, nice. I'll bring a bottle.
So
she would love you forever, honestly.
that's awesome.
Am I allowed to fly with? I'll figure it out.
Liquor?
There's liquor stores
you have to
in
put it in your
Bath,
check package. Yeah, oh yeah.
There's liquor stores in Maine. There's
Well, I
there's
assume
plenty of
you'll
liquor
fly
stores in Maine.
you'll fly into Portland, not
probably.
Bath.
Right.
Unless you're Richie Rich, you're flying into Bath. That's crazy. It's
we'll
like
see.
45 minutes. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we complete sidebar, but Heather was very thankful for your information that you gave her on.
Yeah.
So
It gave me a chuckle, honestly.
Yeah, we were trying to plan. She was like, do you think? She's like, next time, when do you record next? Is what she told me, and I was like, I don't know when our next. This was like what, a week and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, I don't know when. And she's like, well, I have some questions I'm going to give to you you can ask, or you could just message him on Discord. I was like, she's like, well, I know he's really busy with stuff right now. I'm like, yeah,
so
he doesn't have to respond right away. It's not like you're calling the fire department like hoping that they come immediately. I was like, you can send it, and you responded like way faster than she anticipated. She's like, oh yeah, that was easier than I thought. So,
well, if you need an immediate response to anything, message me first.
Except,
well, yeah, unless it's between the hours of 10 and 6 a.m., 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I'm sleeping. Leave me alone.
I sent Nick a tweet this morning or whatever it was. It was said, I'm at the part of life where if you message me after 9:30, you're getting a response at 4:36 a.m. because that's when I wake up to use the bathroom before I go back to bed. And so I'm scrolling my phone and I'll see that, and that literally is me. The amount of times I go to send a message to someone and then realize I only read it halfway because I woke up like sleepy eyed or whatever.
I don't know. We're sort of drifting, but I wanted to put a bow on our tax code conversation. I just, there's so many things wrong with it. It's got so many problems, inefficient and whatever, but like everybody is just doing the best they can, and no system is perfect, especially when it's trying to do so much. So be kind to people and, recognize that everybody's doing their best. That's my thought for the day.
Most people are doing their best.
Yeah, okay. Some people aren't, and you know what? That's fine too. I think it's fine if somebody wants to fuck off a little bit and just,
Well, yeah. I mean,
unless you have a critical, unless you're like an air traffic controller, or or managing a nuclear submarine, or a surgeon. Okay. If you're performing, brain surgery, probably you shouldn't fuck off for a little bit. But
that's fair.
Well, you should, just not during surgery. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody deserves to have a little bit of tomfoolery and nonsense in their life, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair.
Agreed.
It's very fair. Nick, do you have any other tax thoughts, brother? That was your topic you brought up, but I feel like I ran with it, so I want to make sure you got everything out you wanted to.
No, but this is the first year that we filed taxes married.
Well,
this is the first year I've been married. And the return, I told Kristen what it was after I got everything approved. And then we agreed to split it down the middle into each of our bank accounts. We have different things to take care of, right? And then I was like, before I left her office when we were talking about it, I said, yeah, okay, so I'll send you whatever the amount was, but it was like several $100s less than what half actually would be. And she was like, no, you're going to send me the right amount. I'm like, yeah, it was only like, a couple $100. I'll send it to you. She's like, no, that's not what we're doing.
No.
That is funny. I didn't think about that. That's actually something funny to think about. Yeah, this was our first year doing taxes with a partial to income home, which was interesting doing that. And we also, like I was talking about earlier, with the whole process of hitting the American dream, win stuff.
Yeah,
and then on top of the fact that we bought our house and we love our house, but we have a really...
And a car.
Leasing that, I wish we could have got.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, leasing that, but some states you can get the electric for leasing the hybrids and stuff. Yeah, you can get it, but you can't in Kentucky, unfortunately.
Of course.
But that would have been cool. That would have been cool if we could have
That
got
would have been
that
cool.
deduction as well. But we bought our house, but interest rates were not good, so we pay quite a bit of interest on our house currently, and that is a wild savings on taxes.
Yeah,
as well.
I put that in, and the number jumped a lot when
I was like,
those.
okay, I was like, it makes me feel a little less bad about like I still want to like when interest rates they're not going back to what they were during COVID, but like when they drop even 1% at some point, like we will save a good amount of money every month on our mortgage payments and just being able to put it towards something else. But right now it's like the silver lining is that like, oh, hey, that helped with taxes. So doing that. So, but well, thank you for letting me get on the soapbox that you pulled out of the closet, Nick. So appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, much lighter second topic to round us out for the night. We're going back an oldie but a goodie, nature talk, and a little bit of bathroom talk. Walker, you're going to take us away with that one. Your prep for your trip with Tu Padre to Big Bend. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Well, it's like, I'm so glad you asked, Sax. Mostly shitting in the woods. And in this case, not in the woods. Very critically. Because I learned about a week ago that some, desert areas, they don't like it when you make a cat hole. And for our uninitiated readers, that is where you dig a hole and you poop in the hole and you leave it in the dirt and keep on your merry way. But that's not so good to do in the desert, apparently.
Yeah, why is
because
that?
I've heard a number of things. My understanding is, so you're using the bathroom
number
in
two of things.
Number two things. You're using the bathroom up in Maine, for example. You got nice damp soil, lots of soil bacteria and good stuff hanging out there. It's gonna
Bugs,
get broken down.
Of bugs.
Yeah, lots of bugs get broken down real quick. But if you're out in the desert, that's not going to happen. You got very dry soil. Your soil bacterias, they're less active. I am not a soil bacteria expert by any stretch, but the long and the short of it is, damp, heavily wooded area versus dry, not wooded area. You're going to have a discrepancy in how quickly those, detritivores are acting. So in order to prevent the entire area being covered in human waste, you are not allowed to leave it out there. You got to bring it with you.
It's basically septic system versus litter box.
Yeah, more or less. You could break it down that way. So one has a number of options. You get these bags full of desiccant, basically. Two options. No, you got more than two options. You got options. I mean, you could not follow the rules in the national park, but then I would personally be very disappointed in you, dear listener. Or you could poop in a bag that has desiccant in it and kind of keep that going. Or you could, for example, use a toilet you found on Amazon.
Yeah, a fully collapsing toilet.
A fully collapsing toilet you got off Amazon.
What's the weight on that thing? How much are you adding to your pack?
Well, first of all, we're not packing. We're driving. We're four-wheeling. So if we were backpacking, we'd be using those desiccant bags. And that's what you have to do if you're doing you're going up a glacier or any sort of like serious rock mountaineering, because you can't dig a cat hole at 12,000 feet on the bald face of a mountain.
So why not? You're not bringing the right equipment.
I'm not that good. Yeah, I'm not that good. The auger that you would need to drill into the side of the mountain weighs a lot more than those bags, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that, which is interesting. Not something I've really had to care about much. Because mostly you just can dig a hole, the places I've been camping before. And so that's what I was reflecting on this week, Sax. And I was thinking back, to I don't honestly remember it, but being a Boy Scout with my dad and getting used to pooping in the woods is just I think a very delightful process, honestly. And I think more people should do it. It's very freeing.
That is a sentence I'm not sure I ever thought I'd hear, and I'm not sure I ever want to hear again, but pooping in the woods is a very delightful experience.
I firmly believe this is the case. I know Mr. Army Soldier confirmed 300 kills has pooped in the woods for a fact.
It was only 250 kills, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's
but
fine.
Well, what's your take?
if I have the option to not poop in the woods, I'll take it. But obviously, if there's not that option, I mean, what are you gonna do? Not go poop? You can't do that.
Well, okay, look, you say that.
Well, you can try.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I have a buddy who every time we went like out in the field, because we were really only ever out like in the wilderness for a few days or maybe a week at a time, and he would make it his best effort to not go until we got back. Yeah. That's too much.
That'll make you sick.
We did also a lot of the training areas. They would bring in porta potties, but like by day 3, they were unusable. It was they were covered in all of the body fluids. Yeah, every one of them. The ones even the ones where you're thinking no, those aren't going to be in a 150-degree porta potty in the woods at Camp Atterbury. They absolutely are. So yeah, you get to a certain point where you can't go in.
You're like, well, guess I'm digging a hole.
Right.
Have you pooped in the woods, Sax?
I've not. No, it's my grand goal to not have to do that.
Just go do it in your backyard real quick.
Yeah, the trees aren't grown up enough. I guess some sort of authority called on me. I'm not sure which one. I don't know if it would be a
probably.
authority.
Well, look, I think it's great. It can be unfun if you're having intestinal distress for sure.
Right.
But what made me think about this is I led trips in college, so I would take, the university distinctly did not pay me to bring people out. My pay was that I got to do the whole thing for free. So we would go all over the place and go camping for, weeks, which was a good deal, honestly. And there was always be somebody who had never been camping before, and they just try not to. And by day 3 or 4, they're just doubled over, feeling horrible, and it's not the move. You just got to embrace nature. We would try to get people we had a scoring system actually to help get people excited about the process and everything. But a lot of it sort of led people, because you got to use the bathroom more than 200 feet away from any running water sources and the trail and stuff to make sure that, the poop stays where it's supposed to be. So a lot of this was like, you get a point if you can find a spot 200 feet away from the trail. You get a point if you have a nice vista, and you get a point for keeping your toilet paper usage low, which is good when you can only carry so much toilet paper, because there'd always be somebody who's like spinning off the whole roll.
Yeah.
That we all got to use for a week. And the last point was very special. If you could manage to see a critter while you were using the bathroom, you get extra points for the wildlife, because you're trying to really be one with nature there.
No, the closest to the nature goes that I have was that mission trip I was telling you guys about last week. And that was a built-in outhouse, that was built. I don't even know how they managed it or whatever, but over a massive hole in the ground or whatever. And it was, not ideal. I did everything in my power that week to go as few times as humanly possible.
That's for sure worse than just like going out on your own and digging your own hole.
Sure. Sure.
I firmly believe what you did is substantially worse.
Yeah. I would just find a way to get like poison ivy or something in places that it does not have any need to be. And you're gonna give me a reason or be like, that'd be hard to do. Whatever. I would find a way. I just
not to victim blame, but if you got poison ivy on your butthole, that's on you, my guy.
But
literally, it would be on me, and I'm not happy about it, and so that's why I'm saying like I would like to avoid it, because I probably would do something wrong. Like it is going to be a user error, and I'm well aware of that. So like I know my limits on a lot of things, and like I'm cool with that. Like I'll draw the line, and be like, hey, that's not me.
Fair.
Like I'll do whatever. I'm not sure. Could I do it? Yeah. Do I want to? No, I don't.
There are possibilities outside of your control. Things that could happen in a porta potty in the woods, for instance. There's a non-zero chance that you could receive an insect and or spider bite on your bits using a woodland porta potty. So that's a fear that I don't know how I got unlocked, but now it's like, how long is this? for instance, my great uncle lives way down in Paoli, Indiana. I think it's like close to French Lick. He's kind of near the casino, but he's got this cool cabin kind of place, like sort of out in nature. He's got a bunch
How
of
big
land.
is their high school basketball stadium?
I don't know. You have to look it up. If it's French Licks is probably pretty big. That's where Larry Bird's
Yeah, it
from.
probably is. Yeah.
Anyway, his house came with a lot of cool, like he's got this old, very small cabin on the property that has like a wine cellar or a root cellar underneath it.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's all hand built wood. It's like he uses it as an art studio, and then his house is very cool. And he has a legitimate outhouse and an outdoor shower attached to it. And so he has like, a septic system in his house, and there's only one or two people that live there like throughout the year, right? So we would my large extended family would go down for Thanksgiving, and the rule was if you had to poop, you had to go in the outhouse. And so I was always having issues with worrying about whether or not I was going to encounter spiders or wildlife inside that outhouse. I don't like it.
It's kind of like
fair.
Yeah, it's kind of like Paoli's seating capacity is 4,200, by the way, 48th among the state of Indiana, which is crazy that it's that low, but that's still a lot of people.
It's probably still top 50 in the country.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that reminds me of when we would go on trips when I was young, and my grandpa had a motorhome that we'd take, and it had a bathroom, and you could only go number one. They're like, you do not. Number two in this, and we're like, it's literally the toilet's right there. Like, what are you talking about? And so, like,
it's bad.
The amount of times, like, I mean, I was young, I had no concept. I just knew that was I was gonna say golden rule, but I'm not sure that that's the right color for that one. But yeah, they were very aggressive with getting that point across. You do not use the bathroom in there unless it is an absolute emergency, and even if it is, then I'm not sure that we were still supposed to use it. So
just put a Walmart bag in.
That's actually what would happen. Yeah, most of the time. So, Walker, you should tell the story real quick to wrap us up here about the tool that Nick was talking about. Your collapsible
the provenance
toilet.
Of my collapsible toilet. Yeah. No. So this is a gift from one Saxon over there. We have a little white elephant Secret Santa gift exchange thing. Actually, not. It's very distinctly not a white elephant. Sax hates the white elephant.
Yeah, right. It would also be difficult to do. It would be difficult to do since we're spanning several.
We do
countries.
it over the entire month of December. We have to like ship things over.
Yeah.
And you want to double steal something from someone once it hits.
That would be hilarious, and the most ridiculous waste of money, which would be so on brand for a white elephant. It'd be
really
actually perfect, honestly.
I kind of want to do it this year now.
To be horrible.
We can probably get enough people. Go ahead. Sorry.
Meet once a week to decide who wants to steal. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Original Secret Santa gift got lost in the mail. There was a conflated number on the package, and it had disappeared. And so we were all opening packages the night up or the day before. The day before or whatever, like, I don't see anything. So Sax whipped off an emergency gift in the spirit of forcing to wipe. And I had received a lovely collapsible toilet and there's some like expandable biodegradable wipes. So like those
they look like tablets.
Yeah, they're like the washcloths you get compressed, and it's a fun shape, and then it becomes a washcloth or whatever. It's like that it's like little tablets of
Do you have to get them wet?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You do.
So it's like a twofer. It's like a wet wipe and
they're actually useful. I was like, oh, these are great. I'm gonna totally use them. But the damn collapsing toilet, I'm like, what the hell am I ever gonna do with this? I'll just dig a hole. I love backpacking. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So from my perspective on the whole thing was, you would send me a message that, hey man, like, because obviously I was kind of at like the spear of the gift exchange. I set it up or whatever, and I was like, I don't know. I knew who people had just because I'm just trying to make sure things were across the nation, like figuring out, make sure everyone has what they're doing. But you reached out, and I had been told that the person who had you had already sent it, and I was like, okay, we're good. But the problem I felt in my heart was just the fact that you were so busy at that time. You were back and forth, so I never heard from your side that you had received it, if that makes sense. Like, because I had asked everyone, like, hey, don't have everyone say whether or not they've sent. I just said, hey, have everyone say that they've received. And I hadn't heard from you,
Yeah,
but I was
I
like, hey,
hadn't.
maybe it just, maybe it got sent and then you've just been back and forth. But yeah, you just genuinely had not received it. So I'm sitting there at like 6:30, 7 p.m. the night before we're supposed to do the thing.
Yeah,
and
like December.
I'm like, okay, he's in Houston. I was like, I'm sure there's an Amazon warehouse somewhere close to his location. So I was like, let me get on. So I put in your address, get on, and I'm like, okay, what can be guaranteed to be delivered in less than 1 day? And so I was looking for those listings that were like, oh, you can deliver between like 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. or whatever, like where it's very hyper specific on when it'll be delivered. And I go in there, and I'm not even kidding. One of the first things that pops up is just a collapsible toilet, because I might have went to like
sold.
Yeah, I might have went to like hiking and stuff like that, and that's why the wipes. So I got the wipes because I was like, okay, this would actually like make it a useful gift. Whether or not you ever used it wasn't the point. It was like it would be complete.
It's funny as fuck, actually.
But the problem is, those did not have the same window of time. Like the wipes didn't have the same window. They just were like, hey, we'll be here the next day. Like we're good for it. So you guys experienced that. Like when we started opening, you were like asking Chloe, you're like, hey, can you check and see? Because I got confirmation that they had arrived, and all this stuff. So yeah, that hit well. And then it all worked out well because
it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
My neighbor, like a month later, was like, hey, I got your package. Because I'd left a note at their house and be like, hey, so sorry. We checked the shipping address and there were two of the numbers had gotten backwards. And so I went one floor down and asked, and I think they'd been gone for like a month for Christmas or the holiday. And they're like, yeah, sorry, we're gone. Here's your package.
Wow.
So I got my gift. It's so nice of them.
Which is what you actually wanted too. So it all, it all worked
lovely
out.
Present.
I
got mega good for Christmas this year. It was awesome.
That's the thing too, is like I felt bad because I was like, well, not only did you not get something that was on your list, because I looked through your list and I'm like, what could you get like in that time span? There was literally nothing. Like whether it would have been available in the 1 day time span or not. It was some sort of lantern, something of that sort.
It's a little candle lantern. It's a really cool little. It's a little candle lantern. It's fun.
But they were gone, like everywhere. You couldn't find it. There was no shot I was getting it in 1 day. So then, so just
because they're sick as hell, and I'm a cool person for wanting one.
Yeah,
just so we're clear.
Man, I've talked about this on the pod before, but I struggle with just like having ideas of things I want, just because I'm bad and I just buy stuff for myself too often, whatever. But anyways. Boys, this was a little off the cuff. We had to record kind of quick, we all got stuff going on the weekend, things like that. So I appreciate you guys being flexible with what you're doing. If you are listening to this, apologies if this felt a little more chaotic, because it was, but I promise we are at least going to hit episode 21, 22. I don't know. We're going to find out. But if you hang with us, you'll find out too.
Statistically, no, we're not going to hit 22. So,
but we're better than average. We're built different. Nick.
You're going to have, we're going to leave you with
I say that a lot.
We're built different.
We're going to leave you guys with a cliffhanger after 21. You're going to see if we hit 22 or not.
So. We're going to wait a
really
whole
take a
year.
3-week hiatus.
Yeah, you're right.
So honestly, one thing I have thought about is like if a season of life gets too hectic for us for whatever reason. Honestly, we probably already hit that with some of the stuff you're doing, Walker, but like you've been doing whatever. But
I'm good.
Podcasts will hit like a seasonal structure and they'll be like, oh, this was season 1, whatever.
Yeah.
I've never really seen the reason for doing that or whatever.
Yeah.
However, would be pretty funny to hit that 21. Had we been talking about it more, it would have been like more of a ramp.
It would have been hilarious.
Like, 22 is going to be awesome. And like, just
take a season break and come back when deer season opens up.
Actually, Nick, spring turkey opener is this weekend for me.
Must be nice. You got to wait till friggin' April.
Sucks to suck, bro. You should come down to Texas. I'll take you out.
Does suck to suck.
Can I shoot him in Big Bend while you and your dad are camping?
I don't know if there's
while you guys are pooping in your collapsible toilet.
Hunting allowed in Big Bend National Park, at least in the spring. You'd have to check, but actually, I do know you're broadly not allowed to shoot things on the. There's a whole page for Big Bend that's like, don't bring your gun, guys. Come on, please. I know it's Texas, but just don't.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Well, I have a bow. One doesn't make a lot of noise.
It's mostly about not killing things you're not supposed to. I mean, like the javelina is probably the only thing that's even reasonably tasty down there. That's not true. I digress.
Awesome. Well, we will be back. Yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks. Recording wise, everything time warp or whatever. When you're hearing this, it'll probably only be about a week or so. But Walker will be in Big Bend, so Nick and I are going to figure out something for that. So hang with us. May look a little different for 1 week, and then we'll get to hear all about the trip and hopefully a lot of type. What we decide. Somewhere between type 1 and type 2 fun.
Honestly, yeah, some type 1, a mix of type 1 and type 2. And it's the first time anyone on the pod has been on a major trip, so we'll have to really dig into that.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane. All right. See you guys.